Hello everybody, and thank you for joining me. This is Ciara from Ciara Designs, and welcome to week 8 of my 12 Weeks of Christmas series. So this card is completely hand done, so there's no stamping or anything involved, but I think it turned out pretty cute, so here it is. Check it out. There's like a whole bunch of shimmer and shine. I'm pretty excited about how it turned out. I like to do a little bit of hand done stuff so that people who don't own a lot of supplies have a little more options. So let's jump into how this card was made. So I started out by cutting down my cardstock as I usually do, and I am going to use an A2 base for this. I also have this beautiful piece of glitter cardstock that I'm going to cut down to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than my A2 base, and then I'm also going to cut down a piece of Distress watercolor cardstock to be about 1/4 of an inch smaller than my A2 base. So that just leaves me kind of a thin border around the panel, the watercolor panel that I'm going to create with this. Now, you guys know I am a strong believer that anybody can create. So I like to kind of bring in a project that really uses very few supplies and that could be easily altered. I'm going to use Distress inks, the minis, but you could use any water-based for this. You could use like Tombow markers. You could use like I could list literally any water-based product would work for this. I'm going to use a water-based ink, as you can see, just because I think that's fun, and they're small, so they're easy to manage. But if you wanted to scribble on like a Tombow or a watercolor marker or any water-based medium will work with this. Oxides you could use, whatever you have that's water soluble, you could use for this, because literally all I'm doing is adding some color and then a little bit of water to get some movement, and then kind of just splattering it down on the paper with a piece of packaging. This is from a die set I got. There's nothing special here. And I do let the colors mingle a little bit just because I like that look. And because there's very little color and water, there shouldn't be a ton of movement, so I shouldn't be creating brown and mud. That will happen if you get too crazy with your colors or you have colors beside each other that don't like each other. So I am trying to kind of use a little bit of color theory here and making sure that colors that go together stay together. So the 5 sets of colors that I used were mustard seed and spiced marmalade, worn lipstick and saltwater taffy, shaded lilac and tumbled glass, cracked pistachio and seedless preserves, and Victorian velvet and savage patina. So I did savage patina. I did try really hard to kind of keep colors together that I knew wouldn't make a muddy gray or a brown color. So you're pretty safe to put families of colors together, blues by blues or blues by greens, that kind of thing. But if you put complementary colors near each other and they're mixed, you will chance the brown kind of happening. Now again, because we use so little water here, you shouldn't have a lot of movement, but if you used a lot of water, it would move quite a bit more, and then that's where you chance that color kind of blending together and creating a color you may not want. So though my colors touch and they mingle a little bit, it's very minute how much they actually mingle, so there's not really concern there that they're going to kind of overlap too much and create a kind of color I'm not looking for. And then I did want to add just a touch more of the tumbled glass and the salvaged patina. And now you have to keep in mind, I have dried this now. So if you want it to kind of blend, you add water and you don't dry it. The minute that you've dried it, now you're going to layer colors. So nothing's going to blend together. It's going to be stark and hold its own. So this is where you could theoretically put colors above each other. So if you wanted to have like purple over yellow, that kind of thing, you could do it this way and not have them make brown, because now they're not blending, they're layering. So I'm going to do that. This is for the cracked pistachio, but I did the salvaged patina as well. Or sorry, not cracked pistachio. I just forgot what tumbled glass. I had to think about what color I used there for a second. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. I just finished my shift at work, and I'm just trying to get this all finished and up for you guys. So yeah, I brought in just some random washi tapes that I have on hand. Any circular object would do for this. I just use this as kind of a guide, because then I get a better circle before I scribble. Like you get the circular shape, but you could use anything you could do ovals if you wanted to do like oval ornaments, or you could do stars, like you could do different shapes. I like circles. I think they're a fun shape, so I lean towards them, but you could literally do anything here. And all I'm doing is using the washi tape to give me the base of the circle, and then I'm going around it 3 or 4 or 5 times, and then just drawing my little string. So there's no, this is a very simple project. I think the hardest part is just keeping your colors a little bit apart while still having them touch. But even then, I mean, you could do this in all shades of one color. Say you're a huge fan of, I don't know, orange and yellow. So do yellow and orange, maybe bring in a little bit of pink, because those are all colors that go really well together and won't give you brown. And then just do shades like that, So you could easily do this in shades of blue, and then you'd have no problem with the mix, because you can see on the top 2 ornaments, I have 2 kind of pinky coral colors and 2 orangey yellow colors. So they're in the same family, right? So all I kind of did with the other ones is had a little more of a mix in what colors I added. And then for some added interest, and because you guys know that I need to make everything sparkly, I did bring in some glue. You kind of saw me add that art glitter glue there in a kind of line to give me a highlight. And then I added some mica flakes to it. And then here I wanted to bring in a little bit of distress glitter as well. So you see me, that's the rock candy. I am kind of pouncing down that the mica flakes to make sure they stay where they're going to be. And then I brought in just a small line on the other side so that I could add some extra glitter to there. And you can see it really well right here just because the glue is white. Once the glue is dry, you won't be able to see that. It's just right now that you can once it's dry, and you'll see in the card when I hold it up at the end, there will be no white glue. This glue dries matte and completely clear, so you won't be able to see it. And that would actually be here. It's pretty much fully dry. But I did have a little bit of curve in my cardstock because I had heat set it and everything, right? So it did, and I added water and whatnot. So it did curve a bit. So you're going to see me put my Misty on top of this to get it to adhere flat. So I kind of line it up how I want it, and then you can see it kind of is popping back. And I just lay my Misty on it and let it sit there for a little while until it's completely dry. And then I don't have to worry about trying to fight with the curve in the cardstock. I just, set something heavy, and it could be anything that has a little bit of weight to it, a book, or you can put it under your die cutting machine, whatever you need to do to get something that's just flat and give it a little bit of weight so it kind of stays there. And because this is a more simple design for me, I do like to kind of add a little bit of foam tape just because it gives it a little more dimension without adding too much bulk. I do like to mail my cards. That is something I enjoy doing. So I don't like to add too much bulk if I can avoid it, unless of course it's something that's very mixed media and 3D-esque. Then I, go a little bit crazy, but I try to kind of keep it under wraps when I am working on cards because I do like to mail them to people. So I do adhere this down. You saw me remove it, and you see me lift it more than once because this foam tape has a lot of give before you've pushed it down. So if you're not happy with how you've lined it up, pick it back up. Until you press it down like what I'm doing here, it will come back up for you and give you a little more time to kind of get a feel for it. So I did go back and forth on whether or not I wanted to add a sentiment, and I really did want to add one. And I couldn't figure out my placement. So I took that same packaging that I used to actually do the water smooshing, or the color smooshing, and I kind of wrote what I wanted for my sentiment, and then I just moved it around on my card until I found where I was happy with it. Now, I am going to handwrite this, and I am going to make it look very hand done. I want this to look like a handmade card. I don't want to stamp a sentiment because some people don't own stamps and they need to make Christmas cards. So I really wanted this to be something that you could make at home without owning a whole bunch of supplies. I mean, most people I think have some kind of marker or something to, like, maybe you have watercolors, or maybe you have, you could easily use watercolors with this as well. You just paint them onto the piece of plastic and smush them down. I mean, you have a little less control than I had with my inks, but you could do it. So I am going to just write this. It's not going to be straight. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be, I wanted it to be whimsical and very hand done. But I did go in with my pencil and write it out so that I kind of knew where I wanted it to be. And then I brought in a thicker pen than what I used for the
ornaments or the baubles, so that it would have a little more weight to it. So it would pull your eye, so you'd realize that there was a sentiment there, but I didn't want to make it really large because I don't want it to steal the show. So, I mean, if you have really beautiful handwriting, you could do something, a little fancier, or, you can bring in a stamp. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I want this to be one of those things where, like, even if you have very minuscule supplies, you can still create a really fun, beautiful card to give to people. I do believe that anybody can do this. So I think that this is kind of a fun project, and I need to add bling to all things, and I love these holographic stars. So I did bring them into this because I felt like it just added a little bit more whimsical feel to this whole kind of card design. But I'm going to hold it up. You guys can check it out in all of its glory. I'd love to know what you think. I'm in love with it. I think it's one of the prettiest cards I've made in a while. I mean, I'm biased because I usually love all of my cards because, they're pretty. I do go for pretty aesthetics. But I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. And I hope you guys enjoyed this project. A little bit different. I didn't really use anything, too crazy, but I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I would love to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be just amazing. So thank you so much, guys, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.